up, Jules? Thank you for hopping. Is the music too loud for you?
No, it's fine.
No?
You're
Okay.
good. How y'all doing?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm just busy. I'm
Yeah.
trying to get this video done. I got another one I'm trying to do. There's another case I want to talk about, and I got a bunch of stuff in the house to do, but I got a few minutes.
What other case are you doing?
Well, I'm going to talk about the Rudy Farias case.
Oh, okay.
I've been kind of following it since they found him, quote unquote. But there's just, I wasn't expecting it to take all the turns it's taking, and I was going to talk about it a couple days ago, and I've been on a couple of lives with Brooks with Crime Lines and
Yeah,
Lives
she's awesome.
talking about the case. But there's something in between him being found at the church and us getting to the point where we finally actually knew who he was that's not connecting for me. And that's what I'm trying to find out before I actually do the video. So I've got like a bunch of research I have to do because something's just not adding up. There's lots of things not adding up.
So he was like, I just kind of like heard maybe a minute or so about it. So what? He was like missing for a long time, and then
No, bro,
he
but he
was.
wasn't is the problem. Like he went missing. He was reported missing at 17. He came back home the very next day, and the mom never told anybody and continued to pretend like he was missing. Never reported it to the cops, nothing. And what they're trying to claim, and this wasn't just like her not reporting it. She was going out to like Texas EquiSearch was looking for him. She was going out and getting organizations to spend money and resources and time on looking for a child that wasn't fucking missing. He came home the very next day. And a lot of people are believing the fact that for some reason this kid was brainwashed by her to believe that because he ran away, he had a warrant out for his arrest by the cops and all this crazy shit. But then we're finding out that he was like in advanced classes in a private school before he went missing, and he was like in advanced acting classes for drama and stuff.
Really?
And it was really, it really just threw me off the way that the Q guy who talked to him described their interaction, because he went literally from like hovering around his mother and literally grabbing onto his mom's leg and like shaking and being so-called autistic nonverbal to suddenly he's able to complete sentences and speak eloquently and tell everybody all these crazy details and stuff the second she walks out the room. And then we find out that not only had he been going by an entirely different name for the past who knows how long, literally walking around the neighborhood freely, hanging out in people's garages, probably smoking, because that's what you do in people's garages whenever you're just hanging out in garages, and knowing all these people. And he was walking around with a gun. Like, homeboy was strapped. What? He would leave in her car without her to go like run errands and was going by a whole nother name. Something doesn't add up. And like, I know that there's like Munchausens and stuff like that where like kids can be brainwashed. But if he was in advanced classes and didn't have any special education in his background, then he wasn't a very easily manipulated child. And he wouldn't be manipulated now. So the instant like flip of a switch where he went from hovering and not talking and being like this scared little puppy to all of a sudden she's out the room and he's perfectly fine and can speak and is eloquent and has a high vocabulary and is given all these details, speaks for over an hour and a half in front of these cops with no issues, not nonverbal, nothing. It's very weird. There's some crazy super stuff. And this lady not only has like fraudulently used up all these resources, but she's also like reached out to other missing people's families and tried to act as if their kids were seen together so that they would like go together and do stuff. She even told her freaking sister at one point that he was seen at Disneyland. And so they drove to Disneyland, and instead this bitch is taking pictures with Mickey Mouse.
What like the fuck?
Yes, she's insane. She was pretending to be an imaginary sisters.
The money?
That's the part I'm not getting, because the damn GoFundMe only had like $2,000 in it. So unless there was other things, like it was more like she was having like organizations like do fundraisers for their own efforts to search for him. But as for money, she was living off of like money from dead people. Her son died in a motorcycle accident. There was actually 2 motorcycle accidents in the past that definitely seem sketchy as shit now because parts can be messed with. Okay. Right. And the money that his brother had left in life insurance was given to Rudy as Rudy was still a minor. Well, she would have like a ability to spend that money, and it was a pretty good amount. And it was already strange enough. Like, you're giving the money to your minor brother. It's a huge amount of money. She's got the ability to use it. She's really not worked a lot. And then there was other money that she got from like a fake slip and fall at a Dollar Tree somewhere, where she said she slipped in the bathroom at a Dollar Tree. Well, you can't, there's no cameras to prove nothing. So she just faked a bunch of injuries and got a settlement. Like, this bitch is nuts. She's literally the biggest catfish I've ever seen in my life. She has all these profiles that talk to each other on Facebook. She has conversations with her. She was pretending to be her own sister that doesn't exist. The family had to come out and be like, "We don't have a sister named Bella. That woman doesn't exist. That's literally Janie pretending to be her own sister." Yes.
What the heck?
It is
How
nuts.
long was this all going on?
This has only been like a week and a couple days, bro. But he'd been missing, quote unquote, missing for 8 years.
8 years?
He came back the very next day, and she just kept him missing for 8 years and did all this shit for over the past 8 years, getting all these organizations involved, going all these fake sighting trips, which are really vacations, because she knows he's in her freaking house. So there's even been family members that have reported seeing him there. An ex-boyfriend of hers saw home skillet in the kitchen like 2 years after he went missing. Cops didn't do shit. And the crazy part is one of her husbands, which it's indeterminable whether this was actually, I've heard 2 stories on this. People are saying it was Rudy's dad in the beginning, but now they're claiming that it wasn't Rudy's dad, that Rudy's dad had remarried someone else. So this cop that offed himself was actually one of her husbands, so a stepfather to Rudy. But he was a bad cop that got caught lying and fraudulently doing all these things that was in this mass investigation. And he ended up apparently self-deleting. But now people are even questioning that, because all of the money and all of the things that, like, yes, I understand exactly how you're looking right now, because that's how I've been feeling over the past week.
How long is your video gonna be? That's fucking nuts.
I don't know, because honestly, I've been thinking about, like, how could I even, like, put this together, because I don't want to, like, it's been so many days and there's been so much crazy shit going on. Like, I don't want to sit there and do it with Idaho. Like, I want to do it like this, like where I'm just talking to a friend about what's going on, because it's so freaking insane. Because it feels more natural like this, because I've just been hearing so many things. And I'm sure I don't know if you know who Cinema Shogun is, but he called this familiar. He called this shit out from the beginning, bro. He saw this coming. He went and he heard about this story and he reported on it. And then the next video, he was like, something's fishy, because this mother, anytime, like in the beginning, the 8 years ago when he first went missing, even freaking parents that are guilty show their faces and like get on the news, right? She was always like chest down. She never wanted to show her face. And Cinema Shogun caught that and was like, no, something's wrong here. And then bam, here we are.
Wow. So what they do? Did they move to a different, like,
no, bro, this happened in Houston. It happened in the same fucking house. They never moved. They never moved. It's the same house. Yes, for real. And the crazy thing is, the family is coming out now and like acting like all gung-ho about Rudy. But to me, the family can kiss my ass, because they all knew something was going on. They'd all made statements and stuff before, and nobody walked in and tried to do anything. They even, like, they're complaining now about apparently all the elder abuse that this mom put, like, her mother through. And this mother, the grandmother, would tell people constantly that she was freaking seeing Rudy, and nobody believed her or nobody did shit about it. And this was a few years ago.
Oh, they probably thought she was losing it.
I don't know, maybe. But then they come out now and they're like, well, every time I'd go over there to check on my mom, she would take 20 minutes to open the door. And nobody thought that was sus. Y'all didn't try to at least get her for elder abuse or something? This could have been handled a long time ago. And so now I'm just so on the fence about how I feel about all of it. And this is the reason why I didn't even want to do a video until I knew this one part. This is what's so conflicting to me. So apparently this all went down last Thursday. I believe it was last Thursday, not this like past Thursday, but the week prior, before the holiday.
Okay.
And he was found outside of a church. Okay. And it was apparently like unresponsive, blah, blah, blah. Not unresponsive, but like nonverbal is what we were hearing. Okay. What I'm hearing now, because we were told for so long that, oh my God, he's been found. Mom was called. Rudy's at the hospital. And all these photos started circulating of this kid being in a hospital bed. Turns out those photos were from 8 freaking years ago. What? He was never taken to the damn hospital. And this is what's even more confusing, because the cops were called whenever the church was like, hey, man, there's somebody on my steps. Okay. The cops show up. Homeboy don't have any identification. He has no ID because he's been in hiding for almost a decade. He has nothing to show them. And from what I'm hearing, he told them that he was some 14-year-old named like Jorge or some crazy shit. Okay. And then the mom just shows up out of nowhere. Like she's not even called. She doesn't get a fucking phone call from the cops. She just shows up at the church and no one thinks that that's weird. And then she's like, oh my God, that's my son that's been missing for 8 years. And he's just allowed to leave with her.
What?
Like no ID, no checks, no questions, no taking you to the police department to question what the shit just happened, how you just found us here while we're going through this and don't even know this is your kid yet, no nothing. So that's why I'm really confused, because we were under the understanding that he was taken by ambulance from the church and was brought to the hospital, and that's never they found out who he was, and then his mom was called and blah, 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 blah. All of it was a lie.
What?
Yes. So that's why I'm like, I don't understand how we got from 14-year-old Jorge that's apparently like nonverbal and can't really tell you anything that's found outside of a church to now all this crazy shit is happening. How did we even like get to the point where the cops got involved? Because the cops didn't apparently, if that's the true, not call the mom.
Right.
So how did she like and then there was a car stolen. That's another thing. Her car was stolen and reported stolen, and then all this happened. And apparently she's still in a rental car. So wherever the car is, it was him that stole it. It was him that took it. So people are thinking that because of all these scams that she's pulled, that they were in on this together, and that he was supposed to take the car, steal it, and like dump it somewhere and like hide. But then somehow something went wrong, and now it's all like backfired.
I mean,
it's intense. Like there's so much stuff going on, and the Houston PD, they're kind of acting like they think it's bullshit. Like they really are. But I don't want to sit here and think that all of these like allegations that he's made are false,
right?
Because they're very intense, and it could be a very good reasoning behind his want to do what she says and not run away from her and things like that. But but at this point, that means that we have a man who's been missing for almost a decade, literally sitting here and stating, "I came home the next day, and now I've been going by Dolph, and now this has been my life, and she hasn't let me go out into the real world, and I don't have my ID, and she's been drugging me and keeping me locked up, and blah, 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 blah." And he's just allowed to leave with her, whenever we know damn well that if the sexes were reversed and that was a dad and a daughter, he would have been locked up before anybody said anything.
Oh, damn.
So it's so confusing. It is so confusing. And then whenever they not even interrogated them, when they were speaking to them and they had this activist guy come in, they didn't even meet at like a police department. They met at a hotel outside of Houston, like in a small town north of Houston. I'm like, why the hell are they at a hotel?
A hotel?
And then apparently they had cuffs on the mom after he said all this stuff, but then they ended up taking the cuffs off of her and letting them leave together. And the family that was there witnessed it too. So it's not just the Q guy that's like, oh, they put handcuffs on her, blah, blah, blah. No, the family watched it happen too.
The one that was rooting that he was found, they were the same family that watched all that take place too?
Yeah.
And what? What'd they do? What
Nothing.
The hell?
I don't understand. I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense. And apparently there's recordings of the mom then going back into the room and telling Rudy, you better take all that stuff back, because if they believe you, then I'm going to go to jail and I'm going to F myself. Like I'm going to, myself in jail. Yeah. And they apparently have that on recording. And I'm like, there's no charges for anything. And like some people are like, okay, well, what about fraud? Well, Texas, the statute of limitations for fraud is 4 years, but they'd have to go back and like see just how like over the past 4 years that she's been manipulating stuff, because she's still, like she's been lying, she's been catfishing, she's been doing all this stuff, and she like puts on these filters to make herself look like all skinny, and she's just been literally catfishing like literally everybody. But the family seems like they're well aware that she's a manipulative psycho, and they just like haven't done anything about none of it. They've been like reporting her profiles or trying to get her in trouble for all of the scams and all the lies. They just allowing it to the point where they're letting their mother that needs medical care live with her. I don't comprehendo.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's freaking nuts.
Like I thought Idaho was insane.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I mean,
so
people,
I don't know.
Yeah, I've had people all week like, you need to cover this, you need to cover this. But
well, now we have.
There was I'm like, what the heck?
Bro,
like I didn't
crazy.
even know.
Yeah,
Holy
it's intense.
crap.
And it's because it's one of those things. It's kind of like with Idaho, because we've got these two little survivors, you know, if you ask any
Mhm.
questions and you think
Mhm.
anything is out of place, you're a bad guy. Well, I mean, this is
Right.
the same situation, and it's kind of a bigger situation at this point because, you know, men, there is a stigma on men to be like truthful about their abuse. You're right. And so
Mhm.
you really do want to kind of like be careful with it because you don't want to feel like he's lying. But then could it have also just been a tactic to get away from her?
Right.
But I
You
don't
know.
know. It's just very strange. There's things that she apparently would say to him, like, you're the husband now, you're the daddy now, blah, 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 whatever. But I kind of feel like maybe those things, if true, were kind of going on prior. And
Yeah, like
he really did like run away. And maybe she didn't
yeah.
tell them because she knew, okay, well, if they know that he's found now, they're going to come talk to him about why he ran away. And then all my secrets are
Right.
out. So
Right.
I kind of feel like some of that really is true. But I also feel Home Skillet could walk around the neighborhood with a gun and he could leave
Yeah.
with the car with the keys and with a strap and without her. And I mean, come on.
Well, it sounds like she's a master manipulator. It
Yeah.
sounds that way because if some of the other family is just allowing her to do shit,
Yeah.
they're probably at that point with her in their life where they're like, we're tired of dealing with it. We're just gonna, I don't know. It's a weird thing.
It's very
And
strange. But I mean, not wanting to
maybe since a
one
little
thing, but then you
kid,
go and you let your mom go live with her.
well, yeah, that is weird,
Yeah. Like there's one
but
thing about stepping away, but then you're giving
yeah,
somebody who needs medical care, somebody who you have all these issues with. That's
I don't,
backwards.
it is. It doesn't make no damn sense. You would think at least somebody from the family would have tried to do some. I don't know. I don't know much about it, but from what it sounds like, the family members didn't really try and prevent shit from continuing.
No, I mean for
I
eight
don't know.
years. I mean, how many? And then
Maybe
there's
that
so many sightings, and nobody thought maybe if we're hearing it this much, maybe we should take it seriously after the 20th time. I mean, it
right?
makes no sense.
No. So what he was like? So it happened when he was 17. It's been
Mm-hmm.
8 years. So
He's
he's
25.
wow. Maybe she had him so manipulated since childhood that, you know, maybe
Yeah,
it was just a lot of threats and manipulation, and
and well, he's
that's why.
claiming that she was giving him a lot of hallucinogenics, and the neighbors even
Really?
like attested to that. Like he'd walk around with it, like his head was in the clouds and way past just smoking a J, like way out of there.
So it was like a
Like he was on mushrooms 24/7. They said is
wow.
how the neighbors described it. Like he was just always on something like that, which is
Had,
another thing that can be used to like reprogram a mind.
yeah, yeah. When you tool with that shit, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, maybe she had him so drugged up and addicted and manipulated mentally and abused mentally, and that he just, I don't know. There's some of my friends that were like, even after graduating and stuff, they were still like, they just, it was like when she said this or whatever, and it didn't matter what it was, they would just do it. And I'm just like, what the hell? What are you guys doing? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
some
I've
stuff,
seen
it's
relationships between
yeah,
sons and mothers like that.
yeah. The mental stuff is,
Mm-hmm.
especially with the sadistic, mentally ill, freaking mothers out there. When it
Yeah.
comes to what they do to their children, it's horrible. Man, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can't wait to see the video you put out.
Yeah, it's just yeah. I mean, Cinema Shogun, he gets out there. He's been putting videos out like I don't know, like 12 times a day on this crazy shit.
Yeah.
It's just nonstop. Yeah, nonstop. And Brooks has been paying attention to it a lot too. She's like, I don't understand. And I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
understand. I just don't get it. I just know if he was a girl and that was a dude, we
Oh
wouldn't be
yeah.
having this conversation right now about how
Oh,
stupid
for
it's being
sure.
handled.
100, just like you said, just like the girls, in the Idaho house. If it was two guys, it'd be a different freaking
Yep.
story.
Yep.
That's for sure.
Sure would.
Yeah. Brooks is awesome. I love her channel. I'm always working during the day, so it's always hard for me to be able to hang out and chat, but I do always chill back and listen while I'm working. But that's cool that you guys are linking up. That's awesome. I did
Yeah.
watch the one show you guys had like a week ago, I think, on a Saturday morning or
Yeah,
Sunday
last week.
morning.
Yeah, last weekend we did one for Idaho, and then I jumped in there yesterday. While I was wait, what is today? Today's Sunday. I jumped in there
Yeah.
Friday while I was at work. The way I do Dagos, and we talked
Mhm.
for a little bit, and then we just scheduled yesterday's from there. Because yeah, it's just I'm just and I feel stupid when I'm talking about the case because my mind is so like, what the hell is happening? Like I feel like my brain isn't caught up completely with everything that
Yeah,
I'm taking.
every
Yeah, it's
day you wake
nuts.
up, you're another step back, you feel, and it's
Yeah,
like, man, there's so much to try and catch up on and not enough time to go through it, that's for sure.
yeah.
But I really appreciate your video about the audio and stuff like that because I'm still getting messages, even to this day that about this audio stuff, and I just don't understand. Like, people need to understand, like, this is like a concentrated area in that where the footage is, where a lot of those sounds are just bouncing off those buildings.
Yeah.
They call it a fishbowl. It's a fishbowl zone where it literally bounces all off the buildings. And like I always said, if that audio, if there is a scream, and if it is real, then them neighbors had to be woke up. There's no way it would have been everybody saying it was a quiet night or morning or anything like that. Especially if it's
Mm-mm.
getting picked up on that. What do you think? Like, I know it's still kind of out in the air. There is, about the the footage even being real. Who knows if the
Yeah.
timestamps are even real, But
Hmm.
when it comes to the vehicle, what do you think about all that? Not not knowing if it's real or not, but with the potential that it could be. What do you think about that car? Do you think that would, or even the
I
parking
don't
lot
think
where somebody's.
I don't think it's clear enough to be able to tell what it actually is.
Mm-mm,
I think
no.
it's good. I think it's probably enough for them to give them maybe enough circumstantial of something, just if they're trying to make a route from the other things that are actually clear. But no, there's nothing to. I mean, it's just a car pulling into a parking lot.
Yeah. And I don't even see, there's a lot of videos out there about it being in Elantra and imposing in Elantra. And really, if you go back and look at the video, everybody, you could literally put like 10 or 15 different cars in the same spot.
Yeah, because of like not just like that, but there's also like that fencing right there. There's some trees right there, so that's going to be in like in between the camera and where that vehicle is. So the image of the shape of the vehicle, it's being manipulated, especially with
Hmm.
the color scale that we're seeing. So it's just, I mean, I know people are looking for answers, but a lot of these people are doing things just ridiculous, and they know it. They know it. They know it when they're doing it that it's not matching up and that they're being just way too far reaching, and they just don't have a moral compass, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely is interesting on those videos how you hear this one car just flying all over the neighborhood, all up and down, up and down. And it does seem to be like the same style. I call it like a soupy engine. Um, but really, you can't even, when Rory did his video, you could see the incline. You could see literally
Mhm.
how you had to start as soon as you pass that first building, and you can kind of see the darkened area of the asphalt. It kind of follows where you're supposed to drive. You're literally, as soon as you pass this building, you're turning right to go up. So to try and get some kind of clear footage of this vehicle, whether it comes in and does like a weird 3-point turn or any of that, I just don't see how, especially with the quality, I just don't see how
Yeah.
you can make
Well,
anything up.
and not just that, but I think people are confusing what we're seeing here with the actual 3-point turn that's listed in the PCA. Because the
Yeah,
one in the
because didn't
PCA is
that?
at the end of Queen in
Yeah, it
intersection of
took
Queen.
place right here, right? I thought it took place right here. Was that 3-point turn? No,
No, it would have been where it intersects
right
King,
there,
right there. Yeah.
right there. Okay, yeah, because I thought it was over here, but yeah.
I
And
mean,
then there's that.
it could be the suspect's vehicle. It could be a DoorDash
Yeah.
vehicle. It could be anybody. It could be anybody. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, the time if the timestamp right. I mean, that's why like the movements. It makes it seem as if it's probably the right footage. There's no,
Yeah.
but if it's not, like I feel like stuff like this is so unclear It wouldn't be
Hmm.
anything that would be being shown as evidence because there's nothing concrete in it. And unless they can literally take away every bit of window tinting and all of that shading and actually show me a face, that they can't use that.
Right?
They can't.
Yeah, when you can't even barely make out the door shape, how are you supposed to make out a person? You know?
Yeah. And I mean,
Uh,
they self admittedly 22,000 vehicles just of that make and model. I mean, and then we also have, like you just said, how many other vehicles would match that exact same top
mm-hmm,
window and roof shape?
mm-hmm.
Millions.
I
Millions.
mean, yeah, because when we first started going into it, I didn't even realize how many vehicles actually have that like teardrop squint part towards the back end of the window. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't even realize how many cars actually had that nowadays, and because we were going through all these different vehicles from looking for uh, the dumpster car or whatever, and that's when I started running into all these different vehicles that had that identical back window, and I'm just like, what the hell? It could be so many freaking vehicles,
Yeah.
even the vehicle that is in the iPhone or whatever picture. It could be so many
The
different
one from
vehicles.
Brian Enton. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
see, and
mean,
that's another thing people keep comparing to stuff. But like law enforcement never came out and verified that that was even on their radar for what they were looking for.
right,
So it's just another thing that like News Nation let out, and it could literally
dude.
be anything. It's so blurry.
It's hard. It's hard to even watch News Nation, and I loved it because like News Nation was like the one channel that I always went to when it came to information and stuff like that. And when they started putting titles and then it didn't match the content that was in the title, and you're like,
Mhm.
where's the content from the title? I didn't catch it. And then you find out all this other stuff like the stalking and the following and all this other shit, and it's just like,
Yeah, they're just
okay,
really heavily biased because
okay.
they never, the way that they like they don't talk about like the moves that are being made with an unbiased opinion. Like, I mean, if the state does something that I feel that they've done right, then I'll be like kudos to them, and the same to
Hmm.
the defense. But News Nation, it's all just negative all the way around. They don't try to make anything balance, and that's why the judge has so many issues with them anyway,
Yeah,
with all of the media.
yeah, that's true. And a lot of the people that are just guilty no matter what, because the lawyer, came out with a really good short video like a week or two ago, that was talking, about social media and how that could be tainting a potential
Hmm.
jury. Because you got social media like News Nation and other MSM out there putting out narratives that don't even exist. The two IDs are linked to the students, and it's like, whoa,
Yeah.
just different things like that. And then you have like other channels out there that are just about like guilty no matter what documentation comes out. And that's what can potentially taint a jury, because then they're not already going into it with innocent until proven guilty. It's
Right.
guilty until proven innocent.
Hmm.
and
Yeah, I don't see
and
how
so
some of these channels can see some of these things happening and not at least try to offer the benefit of the doubt in the
right,
least.
right.
They're just staying on, no, nail in the coffin already, we're done. And I'm like, I don't understand. I don't get
I
it.
bet you, I bet you would if they were in the same position. Then
Yeah.
they'd be all about somebody wanting to be innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's how you have to look at it. And yeah, it's thank you, I appreciate that. No, this is it's like when when we were watching the court hearing, the last one, and the judge already damn warned court TV and anybody else about zooming in and all this shit,
Yeah.
and we're sitting here watching it, and they're literally zoomed into his face
Hmm. Yeah.
like that
Yeah.
freaking close, and I'm like, yo,
He
so I had to
literally,
put up my
whoever the
coffee
camera
cup.
guy was, literally did exactly what the judge said not to do. That right after the judge said not to do it, he reminded me of my 5-year-old.
Yeah, I put that up to block his face every time they came up and showed his face. I was like,
That's
no, we ain't doing
hilarious.
that. Because I'm sure they watch. I'm sure the judge and other people or interns or something are out there just kind of creeping YouTube to see
Well, they
what's
have
in.
teams.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And I don't I want to be there to, like, if they do come across this, I want them to see, hey, I'm about respecting that crap, even if court TV isn't, because I want to I want it, everybody wants it to be fair. I want it to be fair. I would like to have video and audio. I think it would be beneficial to the community as well to be able to see. And I think this case is huge. I think it's one of those cases of a decade or a lifetime, and I think it would be a great learning tool when it comes to the community about how justice system works. And I want to try and, I know the defense and the prosecution isn't about the cameras and stuff, but if the judge is going to end up being cool with it, why else would he go looking if they're already not wanting it? Maybe he's wanting to see. And I just want to be one of them channels out there that is going to respect it no matter what. So,
Yeah, I mean, I don't even understand why we even have these problems. Like, I don't know why these courtrooms don't already have like stock cameras that are just in there in the right positioning, that don't have anybody manning them to be able to do any of this bullshit.
right.
And it's not just on one media, with this crap rule they have, or what is it, like a national media does the cameraing and then a local does like the photography. Why isn't it just stock in the courtroom to where they can't be messed with?
Mhm.
It doesn't go on to the paperwork on the table. It's not biased. It's not judgmental. It's just what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
Why is it not like that? I don't understand why all the issues whenever they can be avoided.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I think they all should be televised, honestly. And if we don't need to be zoomed in. If you want to give us like a bird's eye view from the back right corner and the back left corner, and then one on the witness stand or something like that, or the witness stand and judge or something, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be
just
that close. It could be just
yeah.
in the courtroom, so we can see people moving around and we can hear what's
Hmm.
going on. And see, that's I know people are like, oh well, all this crazy stuff going on. They need to not have the cameras in there, but we do need to have the cameras and stuff in there because we need to know what's going on is truthful,
Hmm.
and that can't be done behind closed doors.
100. And for why not use it as a learning experience when it comes, even a younger generation, that maybe that will inspire them to try and fight for justice and the Constitution even more when they see this case. I mean, it could be, there could be so many learning opportunities from this case if it was televised. uh, Not just audio. I'm talking, the video too, where it's all televised. I think there could be a lot of learning moments from this on both
Yeah,
sides.
yeah, I agree.
So
Yeah, I
I
feel like
hope.
there's so much crazy going on here. This case could literally, just depending on the way that it goes, it could be the reason why like laws of the land are changed.
Hmm. Oh yeah, especially when it comes to like, I would hope to God somebody wouldn't have been able to arrest me on a PCA like that for that
Yeah,
kind
that
of
thing
crime.
is a mess.
Yeah, so I'm sure you're right. I'm sure something is probably potentially being looked at or something, because yeah, if you can sit there and hand somebody a Christmas stocking without them having to open it up to see what's inside, and instead you think it's filled with toys but it's crunched up paper. um
Yeah,
yeah, some stuff needs to be changed for sure.
it does. It's ridiculous. And one thing that I like, I guess I kind of knew this, but it didn't really like bother me up until this case, is like whenever judges sign off on search warrants, they're literally just going off of whatever is in it.
Mm-hmm.
They're not trying to like, okay, show me where this is. Okay, you say you have all this traffic footage. I need to see it to verify that it's legit for
Right.
this PCA. I don't understand why that's not a situation. It's almost like
Well,
you're, double checking your work.
right. Yeah, yeah. You're just like I said, you're just trusting somebody. You're like, yeah, look at that cool Christmas stocking hanging up on the fireplace, and you see it's all stuffed up and deformed, and you're like, dang, that's got a lot of Hot Wheels and Kit Kats in there. And then you're just trusting somebody that the stuff's in there, and that's what
Hmm.
it is. Yeah, you should have to like open it up a little bit to see what's inside.
Yeah, I feel
100.
like they should. I feel like they should have to be presented with some sort of physical something to
Mm-hmm.
show their work. Because I mean, a
Right.
lot of these, and somebody made a point in my comments. A lot of these judges, they'll get woken up in the middle of the night, or they'll be at a freaking party somewhere, and they'll just sign it without even reading what the hell they're signing, just because they don't want to be bothered.
Yeah, 2 in
It's
the morning or
gross.
something.
It's
Mhm.
gross.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So, well, damn, I need to check out that video. That's crazy. Thank you for explaining that. What is it for
Rudy Farias,
Rudy Farias?
Farias, I think. Yeah, it's in
Farias.
Houston.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's
So,
insanity. Super insanity. Like us, yeah, kind of like speechless really about it because I'm just like, bro, I don't know what to think.
yeah, I was speechless too. What do you think about the demo? Do you think it should be stopped? Like, what do you think
Yeah, I
about
don't think they should tear
stupid?
it down.
Yeah,
I don't think they should.
because I had Nasdaq baby calling the show last night, and she was talking about why don't we like all get some kind of thing going where we email. Um,
Yeah, I
so
guess
I
it would
thought
just
about
depend. I mean, I think was it you talking about it yesterday in Dagos or Friday in Dagos about how this point we'd have to call, or was that Tommy?
Yeah, no, yeah, because I was saying something came up on News Nation a few days ago from Shannon Gray saying that the petition's not going to work because of where it's at in the court process or something,
Hmm.
and because both prosecution and defense are cool with it, being done. So the attorney for Steve was saying like call the
Okay.
university to place a call. And so I was thinking about doing that, but then Nasdaq baby got on the show last night, and I guess she was calling but nobody was answering the call,
Of
but she
course not.
said the email is what flooding the inbox is what's going to actually make a
Okay.
difference. So I thought about maybe doing something like that where we can or me, I just put the email out there and promote it like, hey, if you want, if let the president know how you feel about the demolition, about the Constitution, about what, because there are families that don't want it tore down as well. So
Well, I mean, there's
um,
multiple reasons. There's
yeah,
multiple reasons to leave it. I mean, honestly, okay. Well, the way that I see it is the defense. The defense either knows 100% that he is innocent, but even if that was the case, you'd think that they would still not want it torn down, just in
right.
case there would be
It
more in
is
there to prove
odd.
that. But
It
then
is
you also have
really
to
freaking odd.
think they're also destroying evidence without him being the one to destroy evidence by not giving a damn if it gets deleted or not, you know,
Mm-hmm.
demolished.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I see it both. I see it both ways because we just don't know what the hell's actually happening.
Right.
And Ann Taylor's job is to defend her client, even if it's immoral, because that's what lawyers do. Is
Mm-hmm.
what they get paid for.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then on top of that, we have these two unidentified profiles that were inside of the house that have still to this day been unidentified. Who's to say there's
Mm-hmm.
not more? And like the point that I make in my video is like,
Mm-hmm.
while the state is correct in with their email and stating, we've had cleanup go in there and we've had boards from the wall and from the floors removed, blah 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 blah. Okay, but that doesn't mean that there's not something still left in there that could be of use to something. That doesn't mean everything has been corrupted. And there's
That's a good
there's
point.
ways to do the process of elimination to be able to determine if it's useful or not. So I feel like this is more motivated just by the simple fact that they already had cleanup in there before they even had Brian, in cuffs. Now it is around the same time that they were in Pennsylvania,
Mm-hmm.
so I guess they kind of like were
How'd
super
she get the
confident.
jump? You know what I mean? Like, she had to know something in the background. How'd she get that jump? That jump was
I feel like,
like, that was a crazy jump. All of a sudden, like 5 hours later, you're stopping the cleaning crew and
I mean, honestly, in this kind of situation, they probably just knew whoever was going to be
yeah,
arrested was going to have to be assigned somebody like her, and she was just on call waiting for the day they had
yeah,
him.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was crazy. I was like, damn. I'm sitting there that morning when he was arrested and we were watching that after the press conference. I'm like, damn, if I ever have a public defender, I want that one right there. Like, damn, that's
Yeah.
crazy. Started
She's
looking her
fast.
up, and then we were like, holy crap, she is all about the technicalities. She ain't gonna be playing, yo.
Hmm. Well, and that's why I still have like such a doubt on the guilt, because the case that I studied, well, not studied, but like looked up and read about, that she hired Richard Butanti on before, was
Yeah.
a death penalty case,
Oh,
and she got
really?
this woman off. And
Oh.
I feel like you know, she's possibly seeing patterns from that case in this one, which is why she would have brought him in. And then that's how we found out that Bethany apparently had information. So apparently, whatever she felt, he found the path to. So I don't. That's why it's so like I know their job is to place reasonable doubt out there, and I mean they say
Right.
not to the public, but bro, it's to the public too. That's their
Oh
job.
yeah. Oh yeah.
But there's still
They
stuff
they
that's being
feed
done in the
stuff
background
too.
that makes me wonder if she might actually really be onto something.
That's what I'm thinking, like from the get go too. And I'm thinking it's all about the technicalities. Like that's what she's like. You look at her past, she's about them technicalities. And when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
these officers, I have a feeling because when you look and see what these officers were involved with when it comes to the case, there's some major fucking parts of the investigation. And I'm sure it's all about the technicalities and it'll have something to do with that.
But that's
um,
scary
it is because
because
it
that
just
could
took
mean a guilty man gets off because of shitty ass police work. That's
right.
the other side of this. That's what people get on my damn nerves because they act like because we were asking all these questions that we're like Brian fans. And I'm like, no, bro.
Mm-mm,
Like, we don't want an
mm-mm,
innocent man to get killed, you know, in front of a firing squad. But we
right.
also don't need a psychopath who's capable of doing this and then just going to work the next day and act like everything's fine
Mm-hmm.
to be let out because cops are stupid. Like,
Yeah.
that's a big, huge possibility here.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden he gets to have free reign again and another opportunity to
Yeah.
to try and get away with something if he really did do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is scary as shit.
It goes both ways.
It does. Um and somebody put in here 1 second. Um Sorry, I'm missing the comment here. How could she have stopped the cleaning crew the day of the arrest when she wasn't? And that's what, yeah, because his public defender was in PA. That's what was crazy to me because literally he was arrested that morning. I got a call from somebody at like 3:30, 4 in the morning saying that somebody was arrested for the crime. I was live on my show by like 8 or something that morning.
Mm-hmm.
Press conference was coming out from Moscow PD. They had their press conference. Before we saw the press conference, they had live reporters from outside the property that had the tarp going up from the house to the
Yeah.
truck. And then after the press conference was over, then you already saw him gone, and you saw Ann Taylor standing there with like 3 other people or something in the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, whoa. So yeah,
It went quick.
I don't know. Like to me, that's been my biggest thing. Like when it comes to that, it was like, dude was still in PA paperwork, and she was out there already starting. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
Unless there's some sort of like different protocol because he was a resident.
yeah,
I don't know though, bro.
right.
Well, no, because
I don't know. It
this
is
is
weird,
taking place in Idaho, and he's a Washington resident, so it
right?
still don't make any damn sense.
I don't know.
I'm
Maybe
puzzled.
it is. It's crazy though, because that's why I was like, whoa, hold on a second. Maybe she was talking to Billy at the water cooler, and Billy's like, yo, Ann, this dude just got arrested this morning. Here's, the some of the documents or whatever. Maybe I don't know. It's just weird
Well,
how
maybe she could go ahead and like do what she needed to do because she was already assigned, but they just couldn't tell us anything until he was back in
right.
Idaho. Because I think that was like the biggest thing. Like they couldn't release any information until he was actually like landed. But I think that anything that needed to be
Okay.
done because the case was in Idaho and that was their person coming in for that, I'm pretty sure that she just started the second that they had him
Yeah, so as soon as he got arrested, it was already like, okay, well,
in
he's going to be
process.
coming here. You're going to take care of this.
Yeah.
Here's the Yeah, that definitely makes sense. I mean, it would have to work that
It
way,
would have to for it to
with
be
the
logical.
legality.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well,
But
thank you
I don't
for
know. I just wish I mean I wish and really most of it is really just the issues I have with the 911 call delay. I don't really think I mean
yeah.
we're not stupid. We know damn well that if they're trying to tell us cameras picked up something, then people inside that house heard it. Okay? So that's already a logical conclusion. We don't need to have any proof of that. But I still feel like Dylan being awake and having an 8-hour delay at some point that might actually come up and that might actually have to have some sort of legal problem to follow it, because we don't know what could happen. Like, we're all mad right now, but they could actually be willing to handle that situation too, depending on what the autopsies say. Because we know for sure Ethan had a second one. There's no guarantee he's the only one that had a second one, but now with the new information we're sort of getting about how he was found, there's some things that allude to help could have been given, and she could get in trouble for that. So even with that situation right there, regardless of this Brian thing, for that situation itself, that house is important.
Yeah, because she definitely, there could be charges involved.
Yeah, and I'm really wondering,
Yeah.
because I know whenever the Dave guy came out talking, he mentioned like their one person immunity rule, and the way that he described it was, say somebody had OD'd and you had to take them to the emergency room.
Oh,
If
yeah.
it was you and like 4 other people, only you wouldn't get in trouble for helping him, but the other 3 people with you possibly could face charges.
Right.
And I feel like that's the same situation here, because we have more than one person, and we have one of them that's apparently a witness to things, and you know, all these movements and stuff in the PCA, but then we have one that is adamantly against ever crossing back over state line. And to me,
Right.
I'm just putting that together kind of makes it seem like that could be the reason.
That's a good point. I never even thought about that.
I mean, it could be completely incorrect, but the way that the rules were told to us, and the way we've constantly seen these idiot cops that go to these houses just slapping these kids on the wrist and allowing them to just do whatever they want to by, I'm going to tell your teacher on you. Like, that's so stupid. And people are acting like it's not their jobs to make these kids adults. Okay, but it's your job to tell them how the cops work in the real world. And in the real world, that's not how it works, Home Skillet. So none of this is okay.
Right.
It's just a disaster all the way around.
Man, I never thought about that. That's a really good point, and that would totally make sense why she doesn't want anything to do with coming back up there either.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm hoping at this point that they've gone and talked to her, because we never heard anything past them agreeing that they would go to Nevada to speak to her. After that, everything went silent.
Yeah, because the last thing I had heard was I was almost left with the impression that they were already on their way or already there.
I mean, I'm hoping it was done and over with, and an interview was completed before we even got the paperwork. That would make logical sense to me if they were really serious about what she knew.
I wonder if they did talk to her. Yeah, because I remember they were. Yeah, and then all of a sudden it just everything just kind of changed, was secret.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I always like I don't know if you saw this video that I put out, but I was going through, like, you know, the case of interest website, and how at the top it actually has like the case summary where you can click on it, and it's just like a file of every single date and every single title of everything that's ever been posted. There's no like victims advocacy paperwork for Bethany. And that's why like a lot of my brain like kind of wants to think that maybe she wasn't there when it happened.
Really?
Because why wouldn't she have the same paperwork as everybody else? And I, like, some people are acting as like, because she's in Nevada now. Okay, but she wasn't in Nevada at the time. These things have to be filed in the state that the incident happened in.
Right.
And this was in the very beginning, because Dylan has paperwork, victims paperwork, but there's nothing in there for Bethany. And that was just strange to me.
Okay. Is there something like a special witness or something that maybe none of that would be released until trial? Or
I doubt it, because it's not like we even got the paperwork. It's just listed on there as something that was done on a certain date. And they have it and they have like protective orders too between Brian and the victims and some of the victims' families. But it's just, you don't get to see any of it. It's just like literally the title and the date. And I've gone through all of it because I was trying to like compare it to what we are actually physically able to see, that we can like pull up the individual files. I was trying to see what stuff we actually have access to versus what we don't. And that's what I noticed when I went through it. Bethany doesn't have any victims advocacy paperwork, no victims rights paperwork. And that's just kind of strange.
Yeah.
Because we technically, at this point, we don't even really know if they were actually both there. I mean, we really don't. The only thing we're hearing is like Bethany in the PCA is apparently the one that they're using for the times everybody got home, but everything for the incident is going based off of Dylan, and there's nothing else about Bethany. And there was a couple of hours in between that like 1 a.m. time that apparently the two roommates got home and then the incident. And this was a Saturday night. Like, who's to say she didn't get home and then leave again and then come back later?
Yeah, that's.
I mean, she could have spent the night somewhere and we just don't know.
Whoa.
It's just really
Left.
strange the way that it's all like
Yeah.
written, because her like recollect like her not being in the actual event timeline. I'm just wondering if she was even actually there, because we don't know which roommate called Hunter. We're just assuming because of what News Nation said about it being Dylan's phone that Dylan called Hunter. So it could have literally just been Dylan, and maybe Dylan then called Bethany, and then Bethany showed up after the fact, but we don't know. But that's why it's always been weird to me about the exculpatory evidence with.
Yeah.
Okay. Because
that's what I was going to ask. Yeah.
I've wondered if him going over there was him getting her, and him going back at 9 o'clock in the morning was him dropping her off.
Whoa.
I've wondered that. Because if there's some sort of exculpatory evidence that only she can like verbalize, that means that no one else would be able to like verify what she says. To me, that means they were in a space together, and only he can attest to that besides him, because nothing else could show that. I don't know. It's just all really weird. I mean, it's just I'm just trying to make sense of everything, and it's just not making sense.
Yeah, because I'd hear little crickets chirping in the background about how there was some kind of weird ass connection between them two or something, but I never paid no mind to it. But you bring up an interesting point when it comes to all that. And wow, because I could definitely see that being possible. Maybe that was the reason why the car was going back at that time period
to drop her off, because we also have to remember, and this is another video that I'm going to do either today or tomorrow. Like, I know that we now have like this information coming from Daniel that talked to Christy about Hunter Johnson being called over, and it was just a handful of minutes before the 911 call and blah, blah, blah. Okay. And that's kind of like a narrative going against what Kim and Dave are telling us about people knowing ahead of time. Well, then I question this 9 to 9:30 that he apparently goes back with his phone on and hangs around for 10 or 12 minutes. Okay. That preciseness right there is what the FBI cast is going to have for all of it. That he went over there, he hung out for 10, 12 minutes, and then he left. That's very precise. That has to be the way that cast is going to be describing everything. So I've really wondered if he was able to ninja himself through that entire house in the middle of the night and take out 4 people with a manual weapon all by his whole damn self and leave no blood trail nowhere, no blood trail from what it sounds like from what we're hearing with the Hunter Johnson story between the 2 crime scenes, no trail outside. If he showed back up because he realized, oh fuck, where's my knife sheath? Okay. He goes back, and if these roommates are still asleep, the way they're trying to make it seem, since they are apparently only called Hunter right before the 911 call, why wouldn't he have been able to ninja his ass back in that house to get it? If they're asleep and there's nothing going on. But then we hear the early rumor of the front door being wide open at 9 o'clock in the morning, which matches whenever he went back.
Well,
okay, she said no connection to the victims. Nothing about the roommates was mentioned. So that's still a possibility.
I'm thinking maybe Jesse's maybe going off, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jesse, maybe you're just going off of how the sheath was placed in the documentation from Ann Taylor. Is that maybe what you're referring to, Jesse, as what do you think about that? What do you think about her putting placed in the documentation? It's like trying to tell them that basically you're a liar without telling you you're a liar, to keep it respectful.
And I'm wondering why she would say that, because that's a strong verbiage to be used. But we also have to remember at this point, actually, you know what? I might be getting ahead of myself on this comment, because I know that they made a statement in some of the paperwork that the state didn't have the autopsies because the defense was asking for the autopsies, and the state in the like some paperwork that was posted like 3 weeks ago, I guess. One of the responses to it was that the state didn't have them. Because I was going to
What?
say maybe she's using that verbiage because she's seen the autopsies and she's seen the wounds, and she knows from that work that the sheath maybe doesn't match the weapon.
Right,
That could
right.
be a reason. But you know, there is 2 different autopsies that were done on at least Ethan. So maybe the state doesn't have certain ones, but maybe there's other ones that she's looked at. I mean, I
Right.
don't know. It's very interesting that she used that
Yeah.
verbiage.
Yeah, because I was like, wow, she's like basically, instead of saying you're a freaking liar in court, you got it in the paperwork, and
Yeah.
it's a respectful way to say it too, without accusing or
Hmm.
singling out or even staying it. It's just a simple word, but it's a big chess piece on the chessboard. It's a little word, but it's a big piece on the board. So, yeah, that's crazy. The state didn't have the autopsies.
Yeah, I'll go back and pull up which one it is, but it's something
Wow.
that was filed by the defense, and it was one of their supplemental requests to compel, and
Yeah.
it's in there, and then underneath like what they're requesting in like italics is like what the state's given and what the state's responded to with it. And I'm telling you, when it comes to the autopsies, it's just like with the genealogy shit from the FBI. State hasn't seen it, doesn't
No
have it.
way.
Yeah.
And this is a freaking quadruple unalive.
Yeah, and that's my thing with the rest of this paperwork, because
Wow.
the state doesn't have a damn thing that the defense is asking for, because the damn state didn't do any of the legwork. The FBI did, and now the FBI is
Wow.
not going to show any of their work. They're just going to say, no, you have to believe us because we're the feds. That judge can give a
Wow.
deadline all the hell he wants to. No state judge is going to tell the feds what to do. It's not going to happen. If they don't want to give it over, they're not going to do it.
That's true. That's the
And if
damn
they and
truth.
if it's just like the genealogy stuff where they physically don't have any workup, then there's nothing to be handed over in the first place. And how the hell are you going to condemn someone to the firing squad if you don't even have your documents? I'm not comprehending.
Right. Like you can't, like I'm looking at the shit right now and I'm like like how can you even like not only fucking arrest, but the way that you arrested this person, how could you even do that based off of that, the PCA? And so it's like, man, if this is the kind of shit that's gonna come out, oh my gosh, I
Yeah,
can't imagine. And I hope to God that if that's the case, this dude didn't do it, because I really would hate to see that kind of sick individual that can do that to 4 freaking people
yeah. That's the scary part
out
about
there
it.
again, out there
Mm-hmm.
again.
Yeah. Yep.
Jeez.
Yeah. It's all
Fucking
just
man.
insane.
You think you would be like doing 150%, especially with the type of crime it was, the community, the just everything about it. You think you would have been doing 150 hard work. Uh Man, it sounds like some half-ass fucking
Yeah.
lazy ass shit.
Half-assed for sure. Like all of it. All of it. Like they let all these kids just leave. They
Right.
cleared everybody in like 2.7 seconds. Like, I don't comprehend. How do you just, how do you literally have somebody now in custody for this? Okay. And from everything that we're being told from his lawyers, there's no social media connection. There's no connection between him and the victims. There's nothing in his freaking car, blah, 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 blah. How is that the guy that you have in custody, but you've cleared literally the entire town in 2 days?
Right. And you and with the effort that you took to get that tree and DNA source from that one sample, why not the other two?
Yeah. And that's my biggest thing. If you have, I don't care that it was just on the sheath. If you have multiple profiles and you've already interviewed all these people and you've like followed all these people apparently because you've gotten cigarette butts that you've done DNA profiles and stuff on,
Mm-hmm.
what about those people made them suspect to the cops, for one, is what I'd love to know. If you're tracing somebody down to get their cigarette butts and do DNA, what about that person made you think they were the one? To then now this is your
Right.
guy that has literally nothing on him, and I don't know. It's so, it's literally just like I don't get it. I don't understand.
It's that small
But they
community.
should
They
have.
they running shit they wanted, the way they wanted to for a long time, and just like Rudy's mom.
Yeah.
shit happens, and then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, fuck, I didn't expect this to happen. Now shit's getting exposed.
But that's like, and that's one of the bigger things too. Is it really feels like they had tunnel vision because they didn't do the same workup on the other two profiles. Like there should have been the exact same workup on those up until a certain point where they knew for sure they could remove the other two from the equation. Until then, they should have been handled exactly the same. Because who's to say it wouldn't have been a 3-man job? Because it still could have been a 3-man job. You got 3 profiles and you only give a damn about one. How? It just doesn't make sense.
And this is what's weird too. You got, and I know it's, it's been out there. Like, you got, what the fuck was being investigated before all this went down? You know what I mean?
Right, because
Like,
they followed people. They took DNA swabs. They got a cigarette butt from somebody who wasn't even knowing they were being followed. Like, what about these people made you suspect them to the point to where you were doing all that and not even paying attention to who y'all think the real dude is?
Oh no, it's all crazy. It's all crazy.
But then again, like, we don't know what they actually have on their social media, what they've gotten from all of these search warrants. Because I mean, if they were looking at all these other people ahead of time, it really makes you wonder what they were finding.
Yeah, like they knew they were out there for a reason. Like, they don't just show up. Shit takes time with the FBI. Shit takes time. They cross their T's and dot their I's. There's a reason it got to the point where they had that many people out there. There was something going on. There was something being investigated pretty heavily. It's not just 3 freaking agents out there. You had a collective squad team out there doing something. And then it is fishy how these 2 other samples don't get the same effort. Why? What's the reason for that?
And I'm really curious if they ended up like following the path that him and his dad took from WSU to Pennsylvania, and like stopped everywhere and like got security footage and DNA'd the hotel rooms. And I wonder if they did all of that.
Yeah. Because I mean, I know that they came out with that statement, saying that there was no connection and this and that. And, even with Daniel, he was saying there's like a, what is it? It's like a courtesy thing, or you know what I mean? And so I'm like, yeah, I mean, I totally have heard about the courtesy thing, and that's how it should work. But then, as all this other stuff's coming out, it's like it even has me wondering, was it really?
And see, that's what I don't. That's what I'm curious about. That's what I'm curious about too, because I just don't. I don't see them thinking that he was their dude and then just like letting him leave. But then I don't see how the hell he could have gotten pulled over twice, and in neither one do they ask for his name, his registration, his insurance. I mean, I understand maybe one of them being a courtesy pullover, but both of them, no actual protocol in either one.
Yeah.
That's the strange part.
Especially the second one, when he just mentioned. I mean, he even told you that they just got pulled over a little bit ago. That, like, why not then go, oh wow, you're already getting pulled, I'm pulling you over now, this is the second time somebody's pulling you over in 10 minutes, at least let me check your registration, or you have proof of insurance.
The second he said that he had just been pulled over, technically, the cop should have at least gotten a license or something.
Proof of insurance. If you're getting pulled over for following too close, then why wouldn't you get checked for proof of insurance? Because that means if somebody in front of you slams on you, you're gonna, so I don't know. It is really weird. I always, I was like, no, it's no connection. But the last week here, I'm like, maybe.
I mean, it could just be his luck. Because the way that the time, and I need to go back and add some more stuff into the timeline now that we have a couple more dates. It doesn't really seem like they had him until like maybe 3 to 4 days before they even went to Pennsylvania. And I think they went to Pennsylvania, what was it, like the 25th? Like Christmas Day they were in Pennsylvania.
I think they started catching on to him like the early middle of December, I think, is when they kind of I think like the 10th or something around there is what I'm thinking, is when they kind of switched it. Once they found out that the car in Oregon wasn't bringing anything back, and then they kind of had to go back to the drawing board
Mm-hmm.
and kind of retool where they were going to be going after that. Then I think they kind of started to focus in on that direction and just went balls deep in it.
Yeah, that's possible. I mean, it's gonna all have to come out. But the thing is that the FBI has already said we didn't have shit to do with it. But what
Mm-hmm.
I've mentioned is, okay, well, they're not the only organization that can correlate things with other agencies. So while the FBI literally might have had nothing to do with it, there isn't another agency that might have asked for some assistance in this. But I know, like Daniel made a good point. I mean, I do agree with something he said. They seem really like nonchalant for thinking that they're just like pulling over a quadruple homicide suspect. But I guess you would really have to like tell them too. Like you would have to disclose to them the reason why you're asking them to do this. I don't know. It's just not something else that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Yeah. But you know what? I mean, hell, you could see somebody from the FBI saying, "Hey, I need you to do this. No
Off the record.
questions."
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Without even, and maybe that's why, because maybe that's why they didn't ask for the registration or ID or anything, because they wanted to keep it as low key as possible because they didn't know why they were doing it.
Yeah. Maybe. Maybe
It
so.
is. It's very interesting.
It's all bizarre. There's questions to every aspect of this entire thing.
There is. Then the damn trial's going to take so long. We'll see.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know?
some people are still banking on it being October. I mean, and honestly, they want to get rid of the house. I mean, it's possible that they do try to get this over with quickly, but I don't know. Something tells me it's going to be a while.
Mm. Especially, I don't know. I know that they were gonna. Is the DP done now? I had heard something about how they weren't going after the DP anymore, but
Oh yeah, they
the
are.
last thing I heard was they were. So
Yeah, no, they filed the paperwork for that. I think it was last week, or
yeah.
maybe the end of the week before. Now they can
Yeah.
remove it. They can take it
Yeah.
off the table. But regardless, this case is very well deserving of the death penalty, if not worse, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Oh yeah.
So it
for
was
sure.
expected. I mean, they needed to place the DP intention on there, but they can take it back.
Yeah.
They just need it as a playing card.
Mm-hmm. All in, baby. They've already bet all the chips so far. They've been pushing. They're gonna keep doing it until it gets to the end. But otherwise,
Yeah.
they got egg on their face. They have to.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Especially
interesting to
with
see what comes out
undercover.
next, especially with this hearing that they just had all sealed and quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I mean, I
Yeah,
kind of
because
figured it would be because I know it's not too vague, but I really do think that it was about the IGG information because the state in their response said, if the defense can prove its relevance, then we request an in-camera hearing, and then all of a sudden we have this hearing. So I think it was about the genealogy stuff.
it had to be.
Yeah.
Figure out she knows. I mean, I don't know. Like we always say, we don't want an innocent person getting locked up and a guilty person being set free. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
It just, yeah, you definitely have to question it though,
Mm-hmm.
because it's one of those cases. It just, if it wasn't, for any of us, like, hell, if you're going off of some of these other places and this mainstream media, there would be no voices where there's innocent until proven guilty, and that's the unfortunate part because it's the damn Constitution. It's in the Fourth and Fifth Amendments. It's there.
Yeah.
It's meant to be there for a reason, and if everybody looked at it as if it was me in that same position, I don't think there'd be a lot of that shit out there when it comes to the supposed facts or the 100% guilt. So. But
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I got to go get my son's Xbox hooked back up. He was grounded
hell yeah.
for a while, so I guess I'll
need
give it back to him. He wants me to play Ben 10 with him, so I guess
Oh,
I gotta go
nice.
do that. Yeah.
Hell yeah. I love my Xbox. I just don't get any time to play, but maybe today. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, thank you. I appreciate you coming to hang out.
Oh yeah, no problem. It's been a long time coming. I've been meaning to get up here and talk with
Yeah.
you about something. So
Yeah.
ta-da!
Thank you so much. Yeah, now you got to give me the whole crazy Rudy shit, man. That was nuts. So you
It
got
is
it off your
insane.
chest.
Yeah,
You got
because
it
I
on-
was like, how am I even going to verbalize what I'm thinking right now? This case is insane.
just rewind it and then write down what you
Right.
said here. There you
No
go,
joke.
right?
All right. Well, you guys have a good weekend.
Thank
Bye,
you.
CJ.
Appreciate you.
Bye.
Later. Thank you. I love her. She's a beautiful soul. Thank you so much, Jules. I appreciate you coming in to hang up. You said you had 10 minutes and you gave me like 110. So thank you. I appreciate that. Always good times.